Is Jackie, are you going to do some tree cutting? I see you have your full face shield on.
No.
No,
I just have to be prepared for you guys.
You're doing good. You're doing the right thing.
that's her Dexter mask, Scott, so I'd be careful.
Right. You'd be drawing faces on it.
You don't have to be concerned about what's above the table. It's what's below the table that you have to be concerned.
All right.
Ready?
We got everybody
All right,
here.
Susan.
Is Leslie here?
Yes, Leslie's here. We're calling the meeting to order. 5:01 p.m. Looking to see if we have anybody that is interested or has public comment to make.
Nobody has submitted anything to Dorothy, and nobody has put anything in the chat box. The only person for the minutes that we're missing is Deborah Neal.
Okay. So moving on from there, I love this additional distortion with the mask here. So do we have approval of, have we gone through and looked at minutes? Can we have approval of the minutes from our August meeting?
Is Frank here?
Frank, I believe Frank's here, yes. Frank, you're here, right?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, he's here. I don't know if he can hear me. So.
He's muted and he's trying to talk.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I'm off mute. There were several corrections. I got some of them, and I think I said Jackie made a motion and also seconded it, and I shredded my notes, so I don't know who actually seconded it.
Okay, and which part was?
Let me see if I can pull it up here. Okay.
Under old business updates for the landscape architect.
Well, there was, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where it says Jackie made the motion and Jackie seconded it.
That's right, and Jackie updated, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know who seconded.
You said I did.
It might have been me.
Yeah,
It
probably.
might have been you, yes. I don't recall.
I
Okay.
don't remember either.
Okay, and I also, in the draft I sent you, it said June meeting minutes and August Arbor Day workshop minutes, and I had the same, I had duplicated, and I fixed that.
Okay,
So as far as I know, we're done. All the corrections I know about.
everything else I saw looked good, so
I move that they,
Jackie moves that we accept the minutes.
as printed.
Is there a as corrected? Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, who is that, Leslie?
Yes.
Jackie and then Leslie.
Got it?
Okay. Moving on to old business. First of all, Leslie, thank you for the article. Especially making that adjustment and putting it together at the last minute. I really appreciate it. So she's a rock
Pleasure.
star. She's our rock star when it comes to writing these articles. And
So we have an article for the Gazette?
the article for the Gazette has been submitted. It was submitted, I believe it was Monday a week ago. Maybe it's 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay. And then moving on from there, Scott, thank you for, I don't think I hit thank you for responding on this tree that I sent you today. And
Oh, you're welcome.
and I guess the other one is, and thank you for the Arbor Day ideas. Those are some really good ideas in there.
Mm-hmm.
I
lot of-
thought so too. When I saw it, I know you all have been talking about some ideas. So I thought there were some really great ideas in there if you wanted to incorporate one or two of them.
There are. Yes, Jackie actually contacted the school, and so we're trying to put the preschool that comes out and sings and are in the process of trying to figure out something to do to drop off with them, not to actually physically do with them so that we don't expose anybody. But so we're in the process of working on
Yeah,
that.
they're very receptive.
And they're very receptive. They're very happy and
It's
excited
just
that we
we
would
can't
do that.
expose those little kids to anyone. And I gave them my word that I would personally inspect anything that was dropped off
Wow.
from the garden club or the tree board, because we're going to get
Right.
together.
Garden Club and Tree Board are kind of working on that together because that's traditionally been a garden club event. And,
Yeah, and you could probably do a couple things. You know, a virtual video Zoom meeting for an hour or two, maybe inviting a couple arborists to give presentations and discuss options about, you know, proper tree cutting, proper planting, whatever y'all have to
Yeah,
do.
these are 3 to 5-year-olds. So,
Well, I meant as far as your tribute part of it, and then
right.
Okay.
you
So
could
that's
tag
good.
along
Yeah.
with that too.
There were some good ideas in there for that.
So with that said, because I'm going through for our Tree City USA presentation or for this year, they have waived what's requirement for, and that's having a community event, but that's for this year. Now, we've already done that. So I'm assuming they're going to waive it for next year as well. And hopefully this, whatever y'all do virtually will count as that.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever we do will count.
Well, that's good to
for
know.
that
That's,
anyway.
we'll update that. But,
Right, to help you out, because the tribute's a big part of our application for our yearly Tree City USA, or a big part of it.
okay. If not, we'll be backpedaling trying to get something up for 2021. But these are some good ideas that would help us get that out there.
And Robert, you said that you would get some favors for my little kids, you know, like from Duke Energy. And Scott, do you have anyone that the town does a lot of business with that they would have small favors for 3 to 5-year-olds?
You mean for gardening and tree type of items?
You know, like seeds or anything pertaining to gardening or trees.
Well, you know, the Arbor Day Foundation, let me reach out to them. They usually will donate seedlings.
Yeah, because
That
I
might-
think that we're going to have more little kids this year because we're having it at the school, at their school rather than here.
Right,
So-
and that's something that could be handed out and they take home or
Yes, that's
They
it.
usually have pine trees or something like that.
Yeah.
yeah, slash
Anything
pines
you
or
can
something.
get for these little kids to
Huh.
give out to all of them, because we're going to take it to the school, so there will probably be more children than the ones that come here.
Scott, you talking to Kari tomorrow?
What do you say?
What's that?
Say again?
I had a meeting with Kari from Duke tomorrow that Scott was taking over for me. I didn't know if you were going to still have that meeting.
No, we canceled that. It should have got on your calendar as a cancel.
Okay, I'll give her
Okay, that's it.
I mean, I don't
a
mind.
call or shoot her an email, see what we can get.
Susan and Jackie, that contact that I had with Healthy West Orange, they have all
We're
kinds
still
of.
going to get together with them.
Yeah. So if you want me to still, try to set up that meeting whenever you're ready, I'm happy to do that, because they have brought stuff like, you all know, but they've brought stuff over to the elementary school before, and they're
Right.
ready and willing. They want to help out.
Right. Because we're going to need a lot of favors, because we're going to have a lot of little kids this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work it all out, but we want,
That sounds wonderful.
yeah. them-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to, let's see. Scott, did you have any ideas on where we could put some of those trees, especially those maples or something that we talked about from the schoolhouse?
I do. I think we can, and I just wanted to bring it up with the parks just to let them have some input on it. We've been busy getting ready for the Rung Among the Lakes, but I'm actually meeting with Nora Brophy tomorrow. So
Okay,
maybe we would go over there and look at them and get some ideas, because, you know, the maples are great for around the edges of our parks because they like wet feet and so forth like that. And I think, I honestly think Parks and Rec will grab them up.
okay, yeah, Nora and I have kind of talked, and so, but not specifically about the maples, just about where potentially to put trees in at Central Park that would bring back some shade and stuff there too. But not,
Yeah.
and we didn't specifically talk about those maples or anything like that.
Okay, I'll bring it up with her. You know, of course, my only concern with some trees where we plant them is just access to irrigation.
Right, right.
But I think most of them are pretty tolerant, so.
They're all Florida natives, so that helps. It makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't make it perfect. So.
No, and there is irrigation in Central Park. It's just limited. So if we do like the perimeter, like the east side, and I think there's some, or at least we can tap in down the south side of the park. So if we can just put in locations, you know, the guys can put a bubbler on them.
Okay.
So just depends on where we want to put it. I don't think there's anything on the north or the west side.
Okay, I know that Nora had mentioned to me that she'd like to see 2 trees framing the entrance to the park. But isn't that the west side?
That is, and I don't believe we have anything there, but I will verify that.
Okay.
That's the part that really begs more for trees than any other part.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people like to use it for a lot of kids out there playing and stuff, and I certainly like taking mine where there's shade.
And parks may be willing to spend some money to, you know, I think they're going to be looking for new projects. So it's a perfect thing to go ahead and you know, hire somebody to extend the irrigation out and put that stuff in. So that may be a new, a good project for them to talk about.
Okay.
We have the well. The well's there. It's just running the irrigation lines and so forth. But I think the well that exists is enough. You need a couple extra controllers, but otherwise it should be fine.
Okay. Cool.
Very nice.
Wonderful. Okay. So from
Easy
there-
peasy.
Easy peasy. That's always good. From there, moving on. I guess presumably, Scott, you wanted to talk about the RFQ, and I would put that in our old business, I guess.
I did, and Councilman Sapp, being your past liaison, he was involved with it, and he would kind of like to see that legacy that he left carry on. And so we do have some options that may be less intrusive or intensive for you if you want to move in this direction. We can go anywhere you want. Under our engineering master service agreement with Kimley Horn, it's pretty broad-based, and it would allow for them to get involved. They do have landscape architects within their talent. This is a national company, so they have all kinds of ambiances to them. If it's something that you might want to use, and we can, I don't want to use the word piggyback because we're not using somebody else's contract. It's under our existing contracts. I can reach out to them and ask them if they would be interested, and see if they can put a little so-called resume together, or ideas or options of what they've done in the past with communities such as ours. We have the LRP is going to be utilizing them for some signage and so forth. So that's an option. Instead of having to go out and write an entire RFQ, I could reach out to them and ask them if they would want to submit something. I talked to Wade Trim about it. They have landscape architects too, and we have contracts existing with them, although their LAs are really located in Detroit, and they just didn't feel like they could provide what we
How much
needed
is that
here.
gonna cost us?
I'm sorry.
Jackie's asking, how much is that gonna cost?
So I don't know that right now, probably tens of millions of dollars, but Jackie has all the money. The way that would work,
It too.
let me start. So the way we would want to work that is have them offer you ideas and examples of what they've done in the past and get to know what their abilities are. And then if you felt like, okay, this is somebody that, you know, we may want to use, and you wanted to focus on, say, use the parks as example. You want to do individual projects, say, I want to do landscaping in Central Park, then we would reach out to them and have them do what's called an individual project order. And that would include the costing it at that time. So same as if we went out for an RFQ, we would function in the same way with anyone we hired. Of course, Kimley Horn does have quite a bit of knowledge of our town, and there is some additional advantages because of that with us, as well as the existing contract.
They're the ones that did the pathway, right? That did
They-
the outdoor trail with the Melaleuca trees.
Well, we know, yeah, we know that everybody we can go back and find something with, but they are doing, you are correct. They did, I think it was a camphor tree actually.
No, it wasn't a camphor tree. It was a, it goes by a different name, but it's the Melaleuca.
Okay. So, but we would get a direct, instead of working with the traffic engineers or the paving engineers, it would be strictly just the landscape architect. So we would see a little different result, I think, from
I
that.
don't think I'm fully understanding the parameters, Sue, of what you're describing. You're saying, I understand that can go to Kinley Horn and piggyback on what they've already done. What I'm not understanding is the parameters of which parts are we talking about, which areas, that type of thing.
Well, that's up to you. That would totally be up to the tree board to decide what direction they want to move in. And then once we give them the direction, then they write up an IPO for us. We'd get a cost, and then you would look at that and either approve or disapprove it and move forward with council.
But I guess my question is, first of all, how much would it cost to get that proposal? And second of all, I mean, we're primarily focusing on trees, like a tree plan, not a landscape plan. Is this correct?
Correct. Whatever direction you wanted to go in. I just say landscape architects because they're the foresters and they're the so forth that do that. I know you're not looking at shrubs and so forth. You're looking at probably hardwoods. So there would be no cost for them to give you examples of what they have to offer and what they've done in the past in other communities.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you decided you wanted to move forward with them, then you provide them some direction as far as what movement you want to go into. I want to do this park, or I want to do this, and then you give them some direction. We're looking at hardwoods, we're looking at this, then they will come back with a proposal to do the design.
Okay, I guess it still makes me, I still like to kind of know potentially what it's going to cost at some point before we just say, oh yeah, sounds like a great idea. And they're like, oh, but it's.
Yeah, there's no cost, correct. There's no cost up front. There's no cost until the IPO gets approved, which would come through you, and you would vet it through, and then make a decision whether you want to spend funds to do that. You thought it was reasonable, you could pay it. So there's no cost at all yet.
Okay.
Yes, Susan, it's just like if you had a general contractor building your house and then you're like, yeah, how much would it be if I added a closet here? And they said $14,000. Then you could say yes or no to that.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to kind of.
Sounds more like it's even a sales pitch where they can show what they can do, and then you tell them whether you want them to do like the town area or a park or whatever. Am I getting that right?
Absolutely. And then
Okay.
once you tell them what you want them to do, then they'll come back with the cost of how much it costs to build that bathroom. And then and you make that decision.
So,
Now, I don't know if they'll be interested in it or not, but I can reach out to them if you would like to go in that direction. Be worth a try. Be,
okay.
I don't mind doing.
So it sounds like it's basically an idea as to whether we need a landscape or want a landscape architect to help us plan what trees go where in the town versus, us deciding, well, we want these trees here and those trees there. Am I
Well,
catching that right?
We are, and what we want to do is build a plan. We've decided to go that it's not up to individual residents to come and decide. So what we need to do is do like what we call CIP, Capital Improvement Program, and we'll build the plans out. So every year you can enact a different project. So similar to what we did with Parks and Rec and the hardscape plans, like they went in there and they did all their project or all the parks. We have a hard set of plans that was done by an architect and vetted through council. So every year when Parks and Rec wants to expend some of their money, then they will pick one of those projects that they've already got.
Okay.
This will also help us if we have people coming to us and say, I'd like to plant a tree in memorial of somebody in the town. And then we can, y'all can look at the plan and decide which tree at what location on the plan that y'all have already created for you.
Okay.
So it makes life simple for you in the long run. It's a little, the upfront work is fun and the effort's great to go out and work with a landscape architect to design these projects.
It also sounds like we almost need to know from Parks and Rec as to what irrigation and in which parks or areas they're willing to put irrigation in, because we can plan with a landscape architect and they can say, well, this would be a great spot for this tree, but if there is no irrigation there, then we still have to go through somebody else to try and get the irrigation there. So it's almost like it needs to be coordinated as well.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely, you work with collaboration with the Parks Department.
yeah, it makes sense to have a joint meeting at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And, and then that may be a decision, okay, this is our side of the house where we want to put trees in and that requires irrigation. So that may be an expenditure the tree board has to cover. Or parks may say, hey, you did this, we can do irrigation. So absolutely working with the tree or the Parks and Rec committee would be essential.
So Scott, is it a formal process? You write an official document to Kimley Horn requesting capability statement for landscape architecture, arborist, whatever, and they come back with a piece of paper that we can all look at?
What generally is going to happen is I'll either make a phone call or an email. Since they're a contractor that's approved through council, they're one of our approved contractors. So it's not a bidding process. I'll go and ask them, would you be interested in something like that? And give them a general idea of what you're looking for. And they may say yes or no. And if they say yes, I'll say, well, can you put together an example of areas and communities that you've worked with before, and with pictures and explanations of what your abilities are. And they would come back and usually they'll send me some photos and some communities that they've worked with and examples in the past. And then I'll just pass it along to you guys. You can look at it and say, hey, maybe these are people that can do, maybe they get it. So
Okay.
did that answer your question?
Yep. Thanks.
Well, would it behoove us to look at the plans that Parks and Rec has right now?
We definitely want to share with them the plans so they could incorporate the tree plantings around any hardscape that is planned for the future. So that's why I say working with Parks and Rec is going to be essential for that type of program.
It almost sounds like we need to do a co-meeting with them before we talk with the landscape architects. So I think what Jackie's saying is so that we coordinate and we don't then ask for trees that end up being where Parks and Rec wants to do something else.
That's correct. That's exactly what I was asking.
So we need
Right.
almost a pre-meeting with them so we know what their plans are in the various parks, and then follow through maybe with, finding out from these landscape architects what types of things they've done, and then decide, and then again, work together to kind of figure out, okay, now that we know what Parks wants to do, we know what these guys are capable of. Now we can go back to these guys and say, well, I'll tell you what, this is what the two committees would like to see happen in these parks, this type of thing. Can you put together a plan for us? And then of course at that time, then they can say, yeah, and it'll cost this much.
Well, and if they have
Sound about right?
And if they have worked with Parks and Rec, maybe we should first, before we do any of that, ask them if we could see their plans that these guys have already done.
Exactly.
Well, everybody has access to Parks and Rec plans, and we've reviewed them with the tree board before. I'm happy to send those back over to you guys. But yeah, we would want to commingle those plans so one item doesn't run over by the other one. I'd recommend reaching out to Kimley Horn and have them offer some examples of what we've done in the past, or at least see if they're interested in doing it. And then at that point, you can get a feel of it. And then I would, like Leslie said, go ahead and have a joint meeting or make a subcommittee that can work between Parks and Rec and the tree board to make the decisions moving forward.
So Scott, would there also, in your mind, would there be a path back to the contractor that did the plans and did the concepts for the park improvements years ago?
Now, we could reach out to them, but mostly they've kind of dissolved. I do have a contact with Camille, which was the original landscape architect. She's moved on to another company, so I don't think we can really use her talent without hiring her. I think we can give Kimley Horn their plans and let them ghost over or draft over those plans or incorporate those into one.
Okay, do we have a built-in commitment to Kimley Horn? Whenever we do something new, we have to go to them?
No, not at all. That's why I say we just have the ambiance that we can use them because we have those built in.
So Susan, I think we look at the whatever capabilities Kimley Horn comes up with, and if we don't like them, we try next the person who did the original plans for the park improvements. That's another, somebody that's already very knowledgeable about what plans have been made in the past. What
I bet you Nora has a copy of those plans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And they're accessible and I can send them over. So if you didn't want to go with Kimley Horn Frank, the next process would be to go out for an RFQ. So y'all would have to write an RFQ. We can't go back to IDG, which was the company, because our contract's been terminated with them. We're no longer in contract with them because they completed their work and we're done with them. That doesn't mean they can't bid on it, but we can't go back and continue to use their services because
Okay.
we have a long-standing overall agreement with them. So
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion that we have Scott pursue a conversation with Kimley Horn on the looking into the I guess landscape plan. I don't want to, not really a landscape plan, a tree plan for
No,
the
what they've done before. We want examples. We want basically a sales pitch as to what types of things they can offer.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
You
So,
have that, Frank?
I got it.
All right,
Okay.
I second it.
Jackie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, then Scott, go ahead and contact them and we'll go forward from there.
all right. And I think I know what you're looking for. You're looking for, hardwood trees, forestry type things. Not really, we're not looking to landscape as far as shrubbery or ground cover and things.
Yeah, I think I mean, in my personal opinion, in which I speak for myself, is that, we like shaded areas and,
Water trees were
just,
applicable.
I don't know, it makes
Yeah,
a
with good-
difference for me when I go outside. I prefer shade and don't want the beating down sun. So would like to see
And
that.
nice, strong native trees that we know can take winds and whatever this environment dishes out to them.
That's true. That's true.
So my concern is that whatever capabilities statement we get, it's for the people who would actually be local, or at least local enough to do the actual work, and not a reach back to somebody in Idaho or something like that.
Their firm is, they would use their Orlando office for this work.
Oh, okay. But are there employees?
Again, we're just hearing a proposal, so just,
Yeah, they're employed with Kimley Horn. It won't be sub-consultants.
okay. Well, with that wrapped up, moving on to new business. We've been actively discussing different options for the tree giveaway. I've had it suggested to me that we consider having 10 varieties of trees and leaving it at that. And potentially discussed coming up along where we normally put the porta potties for, I guess along Fifth, well, beyond where the town offices are now, and doing a quick tree giveaway, but not having them be smaller trees so they'll fit into vehicles, and limiting it to 10 probably fruiting and flowering trees,
Yes, maybe some camellias.
and potentially some camellias. So we're kind of working on logistics on that, but I didn't know if anybody had any ideas they wanted to contribute that we could consider.
I would definitely keep it small understory type trees. Because I think for right now, the idea of trying to, get the bigger trees, and a lot of people in town now, they may not have the room for more big trees. So this would keep it easier for us because they could be smaller trees size-wise since they're understory. And I love the idea of the camellias because people love those.
Yes.
I was also thinking if we have them order online, first of all, find out what's available. And then if we have to say we only have this many of this kind of tree, first come, first serve, they sign up for that tree, then maybe they also print out what they've signed up for, and they have to bring that piece of paper with them so that when they get their tree, they have to give the paper that is like a receipt. Yes, I ordered a camellia. I ordered a dogwood or
My
whatever.
concern with that is that if we don't have people show up that day, then we then now have to move the trees somewhere else, and we're stuck with leftover bushes and trees that now we have to find another location, and we're trying not to use the schoolhouse area. And then, or we've got people angry because they didn't get specifically what they wanted. So if they don't
Yeah.
get that day, we'd start having dilemmas. So
Right.
it's,
I don't like to sign up in advance. I really don't.
Okay.
But
and
that's
then, I mean,
Alrighty.
my opinion.
I was just trying to avoid a whole bunch of trees at the end that nobody wanted, and now they have to be found a home for.
right, well, I
You know,
think,
I love trees, but you know, I just was trying to avoid the leftovers at the end.
no, I understand, and I mean, I understand part of that, and I think what happens if somebody accidentally hands somebody the wrong tree, and then now that we don't have it, I don't know. I think it bears thinking on further and kind of organizing. I think, again, we're going to attempt to do something much smaller and try to get more desirable trees that are in here and limit it so we don't have all the leftover. You know, flowering and fruiting are what goes, and you know, the first. So I think maybe we just limit it to that this
And
year.
you know, camellias will.
But
We also want to set it up somehow so that there's not a crowd of people trying to get in there all at the beginning.
we're gonna.
When there's the biggest,
What
you
we
know.
discuss is a drive up, and here's, you know, you meet with somebody. Here's what's on, you know, potentially giving them a piece of paper. This is what you want. We still have it. You put it kind of like when you go get your COVID test, and they slap it on your window, and here you go. And then, you know, hand it to somebody, move on. I mean, again, we're still working through details, and
That could work,
And small-
especially if you have like a two-step process where they get the piece of paper, they figure out what they want, and then it's almost called in or radioed to the people that have the trees, and then can have it ready for them.
just
That makes
kind of
sense.
limits contact, and also we
Yeah.
can post what we're getting in online and put the specific times that we're having the giveaway, and you know, specifically state how we intend to do that. So
Right, because then you're also going to have, if you're going to do it that way, where it's going to be first come, first serve, you're somehow going to have a way of having the line directed so that if they're going to be in cars, nobody can cut in front of somebody else,
right. So Robert says he can
because
work,
you'll have irate people.
right. Robert says he can work with us on logistics. So I think we're just starting to kind of formulate some ideas, and I would
Good.
be interested. I mean, I'm not trying to shoot your ideas down, Leslie. I see.
No, that's okay.
see
I just put them
positives
out there
and
so that we can work with them and kind of figure out what's going to work. You know,
We're gonna have
It's not-
smaller trees to where everybody can lift them,
Yes.
that we don't have to have a lot of runners that have to lift these huge trees. I think you said the largest you were gonna get was like 7.
I don't know. It's going to be
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then that can work because it can go right in their car.
Yes,
So,
that's.
yes, that's the plan. Scoot them in and scoot them out. So,
Yeah.
so as we're
In their cars. No contact. Just put it right in the trunk.
so as we're thinking this through, I think just keep in mind, and you know, we'll start formulating. I've started kind of working on it, but we'll start formulating an idea and fine tune it. We'll start kind of working on tree ideas. So, you know, that will be something. Let me write that down, or it'll be off my mind.
So
What-
Susan,
What we
are
can
you-
get.
are you thinking we make it very simple where it's just a tree giveaway, or do we also sell?
Very
No.
simple tree giveaway. Let's cover that, is what I'm envisioning based on, if we can't
Yeah.
do half an event.
So we,
Um,
so we won't be selling trees to non-residents and that sort of thing.
no, we're not. This is keep it simple, move forward. We've checked off that square. We've had our giveaway, and go from there.
My next suggestion would be, Susan, look at the trees that we ordered this past year or so, and which ones went first. Which
Yes,
ones they really loved.
That's what we,
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
and smaller trees. That's
yeah,
We're only gonna have fruit and, flowering trees,
yeah.
some camellias.
Well, I know the mangoes, the avocados,
Yes.
the magnolias, the
Magnolias.
tababuyas were all flying off.
Yeah, those
so-
are huge too.
Yeah, I'll see what's out there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. So
Okay, let's go.
moving on from that, getting to the markets, the farmer's market. I don't know if anybody has any contribution on that. I did go talk to some vendors who did put me in touch with somebody that I interviewed or talked to, mainly just to find out, somebody that she highly recommended. And I just had a conversation with him and said, I'm not the, I guess, person hiring. So I'm just out there feeling out, would he be interested in, you know, are there people out there looking at Friday markets? And
I'll do the RFQ. I have it. Just been inundated. I've been inundated with a lot of other projects, but I should be able to get it out next week. And then you'll get applications, review the applications, and then you can meet with them or just say, this person's good.
Okay, because he gave me some insight into what to look for and why to do this versus that, and so it's just interesting. It's more of a kind of learning on both sides. Just when I had the conversation with him, and again, he, you know, when the vendor said, "Oh, this one's very organized and very good," so I said, "Well, let me learn more because it's out of my realm." So,
Yeah, just get their email of the contact, and then we'll send them the RFP or RFQ, and it's pretty simple.
okay, and then awesome. And then, does anybody have any additional business?
Nope.
I'll move your turn.
No additional business. Is there anything else that anybody wants to discuss? If not, then do we have a motion to adjourn?
I just gave you a motion.
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
adjourn.
Jackie gave us a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'm a second.
Frank's a second. Okay. We're adjourned.
Everyone have a good night.
Good
Yeah.
meeting.
Night.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Hey, Robert,